Most people think comparison begins when they look at someone else. It doesn't. Comparison begins long before that. It begins the moment you forget where you started walking. Imagine a giant forest. Not a forest with one path. A forest with millions of different paths. Some paths climb mountains, some lead through rivers, some twist through valleys, some disappear underground before reappearing miles away. Every person enters the forest through a different gate. And yet something strange happens. Instead of paying attention to their own path, people keep turning around to look at someone else's. At first, this seems reasonable. After all, if someone is farther ahead, shouldn't you compare yourself to them? That sounds smart, but this is where the first misunderstanding appears. Because in a forest, distance means almost nothing without direction. Imagine two hikers. One is standing 1 mile ahead of you. The other is standing 10 miles behind. Who's doing better? Most people immediately choose the first hiker. But what if the first hiker is walking toward a cliff while the second is walking toward exactly where they want to go? Suddenly the answer becomes less obvious. And that's the strange thing about comparison. We usually compare position. But position is only meaningful when you understand the path. A creator opens social media. Someone their age has millions of followers. Instantly they feel behind. But they aren't seeing the path. They aren't seeing 10 years of failed videos. They aren't seeing hundreds of abandoned ideas. They aren't seeing thousands of invisible decisions. They're comparing 2 points on a map without seeing the road connecting them. And when you remove the road, every destination looks unfair. Now imagine something else. Suppose everyone in the forest suddenly stopped walking. Nobody moves. Nobody progresses. Nobody improves. Would comparison disappear? Most people think yes, but it wouldn't. In fact, comparison would continue exactly as before, which reveals something unexpected. Comparison isn't caused by other people's progress. It's caused by uncertainty about our own. That's a completely different problem. Think about it. A child learning to walk rarely compares themselves to Olympic runners. Why? Because their path is obvious. Every step feels like progress. The direction is clear. Comparison becomes strongest when direction becomes blurry. The less certain you are about where you're going, the more tempted you become to use other people as a compass. And that's where the forest becomes dangerous, because other people are terrible compasses. Imagine standing at a crossroads. You don't know which way to go. Then you notice thousands of hikers running east. So you follow them. Seems logical. Until you realize they might be heading somewhere you never wanted to reach. A student studies medicine because everyone around them is doing it. A founder builds a company because another founder became wealthy. An artist changes their style because someone else became popular. A person enters a relationship because everyone else seems to be finding love. In each case, they aren't following a destination. They're following movement. And movement can look a lot like meaning, but they aren't the same thing. Now here's where things get even stranger. Most people think comparison is a sign of low confidence. But imagine a hiker who constantly checks everyone else's location. What does that really mean? It means they believe the forest has only one correct path. That's not insecurity. That's something deeper. It's a hidden assumption. The assumption that success is a single destination. That everyone is walking toward the same place. And if someone arrives first, everyone else loses. But forests don't work like that. There isn't one destination. There are millions. An inventor searching for a new idea. A teacher helping students. A parent raising children. A musician writing songs. A scientist making discoveries. A business owner serving customers. They're all walking. But they're not walking toward the same mountain. Yet comparison tricks us into believing they are. And once that happens, life becomes impossible to measure fairly, because you're comparing completely different journeys. This raises an interesting question. If comparison is so misleading, why did humans develop it at all? Why does the mind do this automatically? At first, the forest metaphor seems to break, because comparison clearly has value. Imagine a hiker completely alone. No reference points, no signs, no other travelers. They might wander in circles forever. So maybe comparison is useful after all. Maybe we need it. And that's true. But not in the way most people think. The problem isn't looking at other hikers. The problem is forgetting why you're looking. A hiker can glance at someone else's map and learn something useful. Maybe there's a river ahead, maybe a bridge collapsed, maybe a shortcut exists. That's information. But many people aren't collecting information. They're collecting identity. They look at another person and ask, am I ahead? Am I behind? Am I winning? The moment comparison becomes a judgment of worth. The forest changes. Now every hiker becomes a threat. Every success becomes evidence against you. Every achievement becomes a reminder of what you haven't done. And suddenly, the forest feels crowded even when nobody is bothering you. Now picture two creators. One sees another creator's success and thinks, interesting, what can I learn from that path? The other thinks, that should have been me. They see the same forest, but they're having completely different experiences. One gains information, the other loses peace. And the difference has nothing to do with followers, money, talent, or luck. It comes from how they're using comparison. But there is an even deeper layer. Imagine walking through the forest with a strange curse. Every time you look at another path, you only see the best 5 minutes. You see the mountain view, the treasure, the celebration, the victory. You never see the storms. You never see the wrong turns. You never see the years spent lost. This sounds absurd, yet it's exactly how modern comparison works. People compare their entire path to somebody else's highlight. A relationship to a photograph. A business to an announcement, a career to an achievement, a life to a moment. And when you compare a complete reality to a carefully selected fragment, the fragment always wins. Always. But the deepest truth isn't that comparison is inaccurate. It's that comparison changes the path itself. This is what most people miss. Imagine two hikers beginning in the exact same place. One spends the entire journey studying the trail ahead, the other spends the entire journey looking sideways. Who moves faster? Obviously the first. But it's deeper than speed. The second hiker slowly loses contact with their own path. They stop noticing what excites them, what matters to them, what direction feels meaningful. Eventually they aren't even walking their journey anymore. They're reacting to everyone else's. And that's the hidden cost of comparison. Not sadness, not jealousy, not frustration. Those are symptoms. The real cost is losing your relationship with your own path. Because every moment spent asking whether your path looks like someone else's is a moment not spent discovering where yours leads. And here's the final realization. People think comparison hurts because it makes them feel behind. But that's not the deepest problem. The deepest problem is that it convinces them there is a race happening at all. The forest never asked you to compete. The mountains didn't ask. The rivers didn't ask. The path beneath your feet didn't ask. The race exists mostly inside the minds of hikers who keep looking sideways. And once you see that, something remarkable happens. Other people's progress stops feeling like evidence against you. It becomes evidence of possibility. Another path through the same forest. Another destination. Another story. You stop asking how far ahead are they? And start asking, where am I actually trying to go? Because in the end, comparison is not the habit of looking at other people. It's the habit of forgetting your own direction. And in a forest with millions of paths, getting lost isn't caused by being behind. It's caused by walking so long with your eyes on someone else's journey that you never notice where your own path was leading all along.